here with Brain Academy Homeschooling Gracefully. I did a little unboxing and flip through of the Foundation Phonics curriculum by Masterbooks, and I just wanted to do a quick video on scheduling and how we are making this program work for us. One of the best things about Masterbooks, in my personal opinion, is its flexibility, and so we are using this as a guide, but we're not stuck to the daily schedule. So one of the great things in the front of the book, daily schedule, and you can follow this exactly as I have it written out, and it's great. We're going to be using it a little bit differently. So because I'm using it with a kindergartner, we're going at a bit of a slower pace than what it is initially designed for. I think this works really great for first grade for the first semester, but we want to stretch it out over an entire year, and it is an 18-week course. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about how we are stretching it out for our kindergartner, and also how we're speeding it up as a little review for a first grader who's already gone through a phonics program. So I'm going to show you the first lesson. You can see these samples on Masterbooks directly on their website. You can download a sample and you can see the first few lessons and the daily schedule and the checklist and everything for the material list. We're going to go over the first lesson together and how we are using it. The schedule calls for 3 lessons a week intermixed with days of activities, and we do one of the narrative lessons a week with lots of review and activities. So here is the materials list, which you can see right on their download sample on their website, and it tells you everything you're going to need. And most of these are items found around the house: flashlights, toys, crayons, things that we have on hand usually. Okay, and then let's get right into it. This is the suggested schedule, and I love that it says right here suggested, and I think that's important. Make this work for you, however that's going to look. So here they have, this is one lesson, and then a break day, another lesson, break day, another day lesson. So we just do one lesson a week, and then the rest of these are days filled with the activities. So for example, here is the first lesson, and again you can see this directly on their website in the sample download. So this would be for N. So we would read through this, read the lesson narrative on day 1, and I would show them their little activity sheet that goes with it. So I would hand them their activity sheet, and we would read through to this point, and then while they're looking at the activity sheet, I would say, this is a big N, this is a little N, that whole thing, and they would do that first part of, and this is already ripped out because my child's already done it, but they would do this first part where they trace the N and they find the N's in the rows. So that would be day 1. And then the next day we would continue with the narrative, and we would read this rest of the part here and go through asking if they hear the N. I would read through these words and they would tell me if yes or no they can hear the N in the word, and so we'd finish reading that. That would be day 2. And now on the 3rd day, we would go ahead and do the rest of the worksheet, which I don't have that worksheet in here, but just so you can get an idea, each lesson has a little worksheet, front and back, with some copy work. So we'd go ahead and do that. And then each lesson also has bonus activities. So then we would spend Thursday and Friday going over picking one of these activities to do each week, and then reading stories and just focusing on the letter, and as we walk around the house saying, oh, look at, night starts with N, noodle starts with N, anything that we see or we talk about how it starts with the N. Now, my first grader, who's already gone through a phonics program, doesn't really do the activity sheets on here. Those I'm just using with my kindergartner, and she goes a lot quicker through it. So we actually, again, there's the lesson just front and back. We'll read a narrative every day with my first grader. So we just go through quickly, and she sits next to me and looks at the book as I read it, and we're just reinforcing some points that sort of were missed in our last phonics program, and just making sure that there's no gaps before we move to the basic language lessons. It's really quick with her. I think that she's going to be done with this in maybe 10 weeks, maybe even less than that, because we're kind of flying through it. And she doesn't do any of the activity sheets. Sometimes she sits in and does some bonus activities with her younger sister, but we're just reading through the narrative and making sure that we're reinforcing all of the word grouping and letter sounds, or word blending, excuse me, and letter sounds. This program is super flexible, and I encourage you to check it out and to adapt it however it would work best for your family and your kindergartner or first grader. Until next time, happy schooling.